Oh, look, I'm so used to Dr. Dr. Gardner saying something.
Yeah.
And Dr. Gardner would say,
Welcome.
welcome, welcome, welcome to the Doctors Are In. We are here tonight, uh, the elder and the youngest of the three of us. Um, we are here tonight. Our Dr. Gardner is teaching a class. Um, and so that class that he is teaching is meeting around the same time that we are. And so you have the elder and the youngest tonight. Tonight we are going to continue. Ain't no telling what Dr. Brown gonna do. We were just having this conversation. Dr. Brown be dropping bombs, and then he is going back on the porch while the bombs are out in the yard, and me and Dr. Gardner have to either put them out or help detonate them. But we are going to on tonight continue with our discussion. um, I'm going to do a deep dive, I think, a deep dive tonight into looking at Christianity as we know it here in America and in the West. Is Christianity for people of the diaspora? Is it has it been a detriment or a benefit? Detriment or benefit, or a little bit of both? So we will dig a little bit tonight. This is Dr. Brown's whole thing on always contrasting and comparing love versus fear. How does love versus fear play into how Christianity plays into or plays with us? We did a few weeks in a row debunking this concept of agape being the God kind of love, and beginning to look at it from a Hebraic and Aramaic perspective. And it has nothing to do with emotion or passion or any of those things. It is not the God kind of love. It is a responsible love. It is a just love. It is a fair love. It is a love that says, I am because we are. The concept of Ubuntu. It is not just, for God so loved the world. Like, oh, he just fell in love with, how you fall in love with what you created. It's not that God does love, all right? As Miles Monroe, the late Miles Monroe, used to say, God is the stuff. God is love. It is the character and nature of God to multiply, to care for, to have mercy for, to forgive, to grow, to increase, and to have pristine order in all things. All of that is the concept of love. And so Dr. Brown gonna go there tonight with loving to fear and fearing to love, and how this plays into what Christianity does to us, with us, for us, or not. Dr. Brown, what say ye, sir?
You good. You are good. You are good. And to all of our viewers, she's not just good. My sister is fantastic
You trying to
in
get
this
me out of your brain.
21st in this 21st century. No, you're very good because after talking with brother Dr. Steve Gardner and getting some direction of how we would move with your energies, uh, Bishop, and to all your listeners, I'll open with this statement. You're talking about Christianity as we know it's being detrimental or beneficial in the Black experience. Since I am, 83.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. and I spent the day with some very multimillionaires who know me, and
Oh my.
they were from Russia, so I had to spend some time with them. And I'll just share this with everybody. We had to walk about 8 or 9 blocks to a place, a restaurant, and I had on the wrong shoes. You
Oh my.
I had on them Stacy's. I said, I wish I had my tennis shoes on. I wish I had my loafers on. I'm walking and they looking. They said, Dr. Brown, you need to have this kind of walk. I wanted to say some other things that I will not say.
Thank you.
I said, oh, I said, hey, I ain't got no problem. I just got the wrong shoes on my feet. I would have been better just taking off them shoes and walking barefoot. But I say that because there was another energy, and I knew that we would be together. And I went and looked to a book of one of my buddies way back. When you talk about Miles, see these guys in the late 70s and 80s, and James Cone, we all communicated. And this particular person that you may probably had to study his works was my partner Kane Hope Felder,
Yes.
troubling biblical waters.
My.
And he would come to Indianapolis, to Ebenezer, because he had done that Bible, and and the brother was, the way we were able to communicate, and James Cone, the way we communicated. He was at Northwestern, I was at Northwestern, and he was getting ready to graduate. I'm in my second year at Northwestern School of Religion, Garrett, and he was just saying, Tommy, this is what you got to do. You got to be able to take these white theologians and turn them upside down and make them see the blackness. I said, okay, Cone, all right. And and then Kane Hope Felder, he these guys were sharp. Now,
Absolutely.
how did I get into relationships with them was not because I could articulate or write, but the fact that I had been organizing and working in the South. Kane, Kane Hope, James Cone, I could not get them to go into Mississippi with me, or go into Alabama with me, South Carolina, North Carolina, or let's say demonstrate.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, they were thinkers. That's not saying I'm not a thinker. I'm an organizer. I'm an organizer, and my responsibility with Julian Bond, John Lewis, Stokely Carmichael, Marion Berry. I could go on and on, and I'm not leaving out sisters. There were some strong sisters: Nikki Giovanni, uh, uh, Bob Moses, and the godmother of the movement, and name slips me. She's gonna kill me. Who's the godmother of the movement? That King said, "This is what I want you to do." She said, "Oh no, this is how I do it." And I'm looking at her, and all of a sudden the name disappears. But
It
back to
happens.
yeah, and I'll probably think about it. But she was the one that would say, "I want my students to organize students." Now, let's back up. The movement, the freedom movement, not civil rights. Please do not understand when I talk about movement, it's not civil rights. In 62, 63, 64, I'm in Alabama, I'm in Mississippi, I'm in Southern North Carolina organizing students. And we were teaching students about freedom, and we were teaching nonviolence, how to protest. I did not get on the bus. John would get on the bus, and I said, John Lewis loved to go to jail, not me. And that was just something we did in our conversations. But John and others who were doing the freedom rides didn't say civil rights rides, it's freedom rides. Now I'm going to flip and go backwards a little more in regard to my experiences with a father who was a pastor, but who had come out of a war, had been a military. At the age of 4 and 5, I lived on a military complex in Maryland, and it was segregated. I lived in an experiential layout of segregation. But to me, segregation wasn't so negative because when I reflect and look back, it was where I learned. I had a grandmama, a mommy and a poppy. That was my grandparents. I called my mother Dottie. And when my mother married my father at the age of 5, he says, her name is Mother. You don't call her Dottie. I'm looking at him like, who are you? But that's neither here nor there. But my mother, because of her skin complexion, her mother was Mamma Mia. She was the winch to an Irish ship captain.
Jesus.
Yeah, and what you know is, what did she look like? She was one fine sister, but she had that complexion that she could pass because she looked white.
Mm-hmm.
But I had grandparents who took care of her because she was born in Wilcox County. And at the age of 2, they took her out of there because of all of the dynamics with this particular ship captain and Mama Mia. And they brought her to Chicago. And that's a whole nother history. The book on her is amazing. Now, I share that to hit back to the point. Let's get to the point, Tom Brown.
Yes, let's get to the point, Tom Brown.
Yeah. So when I whatever I say, then you can know why I said and why it's gonna come. In
I know
regard
you're gonna connect it.
to it, the whole thing of the movement, and my father and the many guys that he knew and women that he knew were all, I guess you would just say, radical, and had not embraced what we call Christianity in the way we call it. Uh, I was taught, yeah, you say your prayer. Matter of fact, I was christened in a Coppin Chapel AME church at the age of 2. So I was a Methodist before I became a Baptist, and after I became a Baptist, I became whatever. Always wanted to at the age from, let's say, from 3, 4, 5. I always thought I may become a Catholic priest. That didn't happen because I had an attraction to, I wanted to be married. So that eliminates all of that. But the dynamics of that was that coming up in here in Indianapolis at that time and coming out of Chicago, my father kind of opened my eyes to social change, to organizing. And imagine, I attended an all black school. In the in the first 4 grades, many of my teachers who were male happened to be Tuskegee Airmen, and then the other teachers who were black. My education was, I learned how to cook at the age of 8. I was playing instruments at the age of 8, 9, 10, all the way into high school. I was learning things that we don't do today. We all had learned vocations. I was a printer. I could be a typesetter at the age of 12, 13, and 14. These were vocations. These were what you would call in a segregated community. Well, let's look at that dynamic. The term segregation, that's a term. To me, it wasn't it wasn't something negative. It was something that made us come closer together, made us cooperate. Now, when it came to the religious experience, oh Lord, I go to church. I went to church on Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, and we had night service, and we had BTU, if you all know what that is. Those were things you were going to do, and the worst part of all of that, I was a preacher's son, so I couldn't get away with anything. Everybody was watching Tom Brown. Now, where are we today, and what am I dealing with? When I told my father years ago, we have come to fear to love, and we love to fear because we have drank, me
Mm.
and uh, I'll just say, we have breathed in that whole feeling of working hard to be accepted by the white influence. And I used to say to my dad, this is years ago, I said, Dad, why are we talking about come to this church to be accepted by Christ? Christ has already accepted us. And this dynamic of the fact, yeah, accepting Christ. Oh, I say, who's Christ? Well, see, Jim Cone and my partners, we used to say, what Christ are we serving? Because the Christ that we know is we see it in each other. But when you take it to that intellectual capacity, we begin to forget our relationships to one another. And the challenge that comes to us in this 21st century is we are distancing ourselves more from the truth and the realities that we are love beings, that we are not that we are not competitors, but we are all connected. And that's not being what you would say marketed. We market separation very successfully into a competitive situation. Now, when you do that, what is it about? Some people say it's about the money. I said, no, it's not about money. It is the money. It is the way. We have become very good at, Dad said to me in 58, he said, son, we were the productive slaves. We were the producers. He said, now guess what we are being in the economic structure? We are now the consumer slave. And
My God. Wait a
I
minute. Wait a minute. Hold on.
did I say something wrong?
No.
I,
No. We got to get back here.
go ahead.
But hold on. Hold on.
Oh,
With
I
our
can. I can hold back.
hold on. Hold on. No. I ain't saying hold back. No, I'm not saying that. With our very Jesus. With our very stringently Christian selves. Mm, mm, mm. With our tongue talking selves, many of us. Ila Bashando.
I know.
With our very indoctrinated, highly hyper spiritual selves. Did I hear you say your daddy said, now if you 83 and daddy said this, I can't even imagine where we are today, just from the years. Did I hear you say, you did it said, you did it, that we were
The productive
producing
slaves.
slaves, okay? And we can document an estimate of how much of the GNP black people raised in this country that white folks could not do. They did not have the intestinal fortitude. They did not have the molecular fortitude and perhaps the intellectual fortitude to do what we did. And so we built the nation. We increased mightily the gross national product for the country. So we were producing slaves. Slavery, like Christianity, was an enterprise. Our elder taught us that.
All right, go ahead.
You did.
I know.
You
No, you.
did. You say it's an enterprise.
It's an enterprise.
So we have moved through the enterprise of slavery as producing
Producing
slaves.
now
Now
consumption.
we are consuming slaves.
Slaves.
So we are no longer producers, although we are producing, because that's how The people on the bottom keep the empire and the hierarchy at the top. So we have moved from producer that actually made other people well-to-do and wealthy.
Let me give you a
And
little. Let me
and
give you a
and,
little.
and when we came out, I'm coming. When we came out of slavery, even into Jim Crow, we were able, without our 40 acres, with their lion selves, and without a mule, with their lion selves, we were able to steal among ourselves with a few helpers, some few indigenous people. And again, all indigenous people were not Indians. The other folks came up with that. We were already here. We were already here. But sometimes with the aid and assistance of them, and sometimes with the aid and assistance of a few white folks that said this ain't right. But for the most part, we were able to produce HBCUs, able to produce our own churches, our own denominations, able to produce whole townships, able to produce 52, I believe it was, financial institutions. Now we only have 12. 52 coming through slavery, Jim Crow, civil rights, all of that. We were able to produce our own Black Wall Street, able to produce patents, even though we sold most of them, patents, because we didn't know the value of what we had. And we took their little million and they made billions off of our patents. But we were able to produce, and we would be surprised how many things that have been attributed to white people that are our inventions, our patents, our ideas, our genius. And so we have moved. Notice now, if he was saying that back then, Lord, if Daddy could speak now, I think he just did. We have moved. Notice now the operative words: slave producing, slave consuming, still slave.
I got a middle point for you. Can I say it?
Go on out there. You out there now.
In in 56, 57, 58, imagine me, I'm 14, 15, and Dr. King and my dad had a very close relationship. He came to our house many times based on their relationships in regard to families and stuff. Now, imagine me in 56, 57, and people can document the timetable. I'm 15. Dr. King is 27. My dad is 30, 36, or 37. Now, these are young men. But one significant thing that I picked up was they were looking at the economics. And King and my dad and a bunch of other guys, I'm not call out those names, they communicated in private. And one phenomenon, we were, guess what? We were the production slave. We were the producers of the economics. And what is economics? Production, distribution, then consumption.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here's how I played it after listening to my dad and listening to Dr. King. In 1967, King made it very clear we missed the circumstance of the economics of what America is all about. You remember then we began to organize around the issue of poor people and organize a lot of other things that was taking place at that time. But I'm trying to bring it back to the point that the distribution economics within the Black experience was manifested, and this is what I'm going to say, was manifested through what we call religions. The enterprise of religion helped us, not helped us, but created the distributive
Mm-hmm.
of economics, particularly within the mindset, within the emotion. As you described very clearly, our methods and our presentations of our religious experience is almost like an art. It's like an art. We can call it emotion, but I don't lock in on that. I lock in on the fact it's an intuitive ability that allows us to communicate. And in our early years, we were distributing information that we controlled.
Mm-hmm.
We gave it up. We gave that up, and now we are the slaves of consumer slaves because they also got our information and we don't even want it.
Well, we don't know to want it
Well,
because we
that's
don't because we don't know it was ours. Now, how do we link this, Dr. Brown? Because what we're looking at is either the benefit or the detriment of being Christianized and being very, very deeply rooted in doctrine and in dogma, very rooted and part of our spirituality as a people since it was um, beat out of us almost. You know, it's like, we're going to beat this out of you. You better not practice what you practiced before we came here. Remember now, people, that this was a discussion. We actually can find it in some of the documentation. Um, should we or should we not Christianize, proselytize after we prostitute? Should we not do this to our property, chattel, to our slaves? And they said, no, we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't do that. Because if we do that, um, it's going to maybe make them rebel and rise up and leave, or rise up and revolt. Other people say, well, no, if we do it right, it should make them better slaves. It should make them better niggas for us. It should make them better chattel. If we do this right, if we do it strategically, if we do it deceptively and diabolically, if we do it by the same spirit that Christianity has had for 2,000 years, if we use violence, if we use fear, if we use fear tactics, then maybe it will make them docile and it will make them behave themselves. It will make them obey and make them stay. Because every time we lose a slave, we lose our money because we can't produce like they produce. So we wanna couch this in some historicity here, that this was an ongoing discussion, and we know it was done deceptively. Because why think, people, just think, why would an oppressor, why would your master, why would your owner teach you anything that is going to empower you to be better than you are? You already better than what you think, because you are doing what they could not do. You are producing what they could not produce. Your pain threshold isn't the same. Your bone mass isn't the same. Your muscle mass is not the same. Your brain is not the same. Your spirituality and intuition and insight is not the same. But if we beat that out of you, demonize it, deceive you, indoctrinate you, give you who can read. Isn't that interesting? We don't speak none of their language, but we learn how to read. Isn't that interesting? We don't
Do
speak
you,
none.
do you recall? It was about a year ago when you asked. We I came aboard and we did that series on Willie Lynch,
Yes, sir.
how to make a slave. Everything you just articulated was the whole thing he said, and he played the game very well. He said, if you want to, and this is where you really get on to the case. Get that mother to have a feeling of fear for her son. We can control the slave through the mother. They already was doing it to their own women, but when it came to the slave woman, many of the white women would use slaves to even cuddle and help them with their children. There is dynamic there because we talked. That was a period back, and I bring it back up because the whole power of the, as my singing group says, this is age and the dawning of Aquarius, the fifth dimensions.
Mhm.
This is women's energy. What I'll flip it though, this is the feminine energy of the divine. The divine is feminine and masculine, and it's not locked in on sexual phenomenon. It's locked in on what I call energy of the divine's holistic universal presence. Feminine energy. Why did we say Mother Nature? Doggone it. If Mother Nature, she can act up, and Father Time will just shut up if you play with how we label those dynamics. Well, I've left that years ago, but I'm coming back to your point in regard to understanding that evil was to control us, and you give fear so much till it becomes addictive, and you learn how to love it.
Yep, we love it. We love it.
If
Because
what was one of the popular songs? If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right.
that's right. Loving you is wrong. I don't want to be right. Ta, 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 ta. Yes, sir.
But
And we don't because the what the fear produces in terms of our docility, what the fear produces in terms of our intellectual paralysis, what the fear produces is safety. And safety becomes psychologically rewarding.
could that safety be delusional?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the whole nature of delusion. So if I don't think I'm safe, because we already know the most violent people in the world, and we have become them. The most violent people in the world. You can look this up. It ain't Muslims, honey. It ain't Muslims. It is Christians. Muslims, and this was a study that I think in 2021 that looked at including religious wars and all of that. It looked at wars and all of that, and violence, just violence, however that is.
Yeah.
And the people that were the most violent, that had the most deaths and all of this stuff over a 2,000-year period was Christianity.
The Great
Islam was
Crusades.
number 6
The Great
on the list.
Crusades. The Great Crusades. You study that history. The Great Crusades.
Oh, they still crusading, honey. They just ain't got horses.
Yeah, but
They got blue ties on and red ties on. Y'all gonna catch that in a minute.
I got a blue ribbon and crosses in it, but never mind. But the dynamics of
You know what I'm talking about. The
I
left
know
and the right.
the dynamics is that war is an enterprise. it makes money. Religions have been successful as enterprises that I can cover.
Absolutely.
And
every religion every religion is a part of an empire or a kingdom.
thank
Every
you.
major religion is a part of an empire or a kingdom. That is the way they socialize their people so that they can run their nation or their country, and many times so that they can control people.
You've said it well because I've been where? India, my Hindu brothers, I love their sisters. I've been in China, the Mongolian, that is strong, Tibetan and Buddha and Hindu. But those energies, if you check their history out, they were some powerful. They not was. They are still very powerful. I have kind of an aspiration with the Buddhist movement because the so-called missing years of Jesus, the studies indicated that Jesus did his studies from the age of 12 up to 30 was up in the Tibetan area and parts of India.
Yeah, well, certainly, uh, there are some scholars who say Jesus was in India.
Oh yeah, his
Nana
name was
Darkwa,
Isa. Isa.
Nana Darkwa,
Yeah,
um, did a book. I can't even think of the name of it. But he talked about
yeah.
uh,
He
uh,
was from Russia.
Nana Darkwa.
He was a Russian.
Nana Darkwa was a Ghanaian.
Okay, okay, a Ghanaian. Okay. Oh
He's
well, you
from
got
Ghana.
yeah. Oh, okay. Well, then, if he's doing it from that perspective of Africa, I'm dealing with the Russian who did the studies of him in the Tibetan mountains, and that was years ago.
Okay, well, Nana Darkwa is a Ghanaian. All right. Nana, what Ghanaians do, based on what day of the week you were born, that becomes one of your names. My
Okay.
name in
Yeah.
Ghana, my uncle told me, was Yaya. All right, because I was born on Thursday. Nana, I can't remember Nana, but Nana Darkwa. I think it's Darkwah or something like that. Does this whole book on this whole Africanness and the
Okay.
African presence in the Bible, and how many of the names in the Old Testament of countries were transliterated or changed, and suggests that part of Jesus' lineage came through Ghana, and some of his folks still live there. So I don't know. Uh, I don't know. I just know he didn't stay in Jerusalem fighting with Pharisees and Sadducees and white folks. All right.
And
Um,
Pharaohs.
absolutely. So, um, when we talk about these detriments, because we really, the bad thing, here is the delusional part of our religion particularly. We don't know how violent it is. And whatever the first thing is, the whole thing is this law of first things. So, for instance, people believe that that first child that you have sets the order and the precedent for the children to come. This is why we put so much pressure on the first child to be an example to the other children. One of the scriptures says that when you give your first fruits to the Lord, you give your tithe to the Lord. When you give the first fruit of that, then the other 90% of the other portion of that is holy. It's kind of the law of first things. And so, whatever the first thing is, the whole thing is. So, if this thing starts out with folks being certain folks, Roman folks, being violent and using fear and violence and hanging people from trees and hanging them outside the gate where people could see them and fear. Our whole story, your whole Easter story, starts with that kind of heinous treatment of human beings that are not even guilty of anything. As I said on Sunday, our whole everything as we're going into this this Easter season, our whole everything is based on the violent, heinous, public assassination of a man, more melanated man, however you want to picture him, by the Roman European government. And our whole religion is based on bloodshed, anger, violence, injustice. And we say this satisfied God's anger. God was so angry, he had to kill his son in order to satisfy his age long 800 million years of age long history of being angry with sinful creation that he created. Okay. All right. That's our whole thing. All right. We don't know. And I talked about this on Sunday, and I talked about it last year, Dr. Brown. This actually happened to me. Uh, I was at my home church with my mom last Easter, um, and they had brought in some dancers, and they danced to Richard Smallwood. Lord, I'm still grieving. Why he gone? Oh Lord. But they, oh Jesus, but they danced to Richard Smallwood's Calvary. Calvary is so brilliantly done. Each singer, the range, the blues of it, Calvary, it is very moving. And of course, it's done in minor keys so you could see all of that. And the little dances were just good. And when they got to the end of it, they put nails in his hand, nails in his feet. He hung on the cross and he died just for me. And the little children came down with the cross, and a little young man came down with his little white t-shirt on with the red lipstick all over it. That would have been blood. And they were beating him and carrying on, and he was carrying the cross. And I mean, people are crying. And I watched my pastor, my mom's pastor, just crying. And when he got up, he said, Lord have mercy, I'm telling you, them babies tore me up in here. I mean, he was really crying boo-hoo, real tears. And he got up, and this man preached his whole brains out. He preached his brains out, and nothing happened. And I kept saying, and usually, my mother has a little dementia, but that's her son. Usually she be saying anything now. If you ain't talking about that, she can say, now, all right, baby, time to sit down. You know. But she was like this,
What's going on?
saying nothing. And I was like this. And granted, she had wore me out all night, most of the morning, getting her out of church. But I was like this. I'm never like this in church unless there's a cutoff or something. And I kept saying, but this man is preaching his brains out.
What's going
Why is everything so quiet? It's morbid in here. It's like the energy got sucked out of the room. That thing bothered me all day. I'm like, how do you preach like that and nothing connects? And it's Easter. And the dancers just did what they did. As I was driving home that night, trying to get to y'all for Unscripted, I kept saying, God, what was that? What was that? Finally, it came to me about 30 minutes outside of Richmond. What it was a trigger. It triggered DNA because we know epigenetically, and some of y'all heard me tell this, we know epigenetically trauma travels in the DNA. Trauma from past violence, from past injustice, from blood that is still crying from the ground, saying, how long, oh God, before you avenge us? That thing was triggering, and it triggered the man of God. That even though he was able to deliver his message, what it did to him psychologically and what it did to the congregation. I mean, we crying and we trying to be thankful. We think the tears are, he did it for me, but it is like watching George Floyd with a knee on his neck over and over and over and over. And every Easter we watch it. Every Easter we hear it. Every first Sunday or third Sunday, whenever you do it. Some of y'all take it every Sunday. We read those scriptures about the violence. This is what we are doing to an oppressed people with a 2,000-year history of violence, not just 400, but 2,000-year history of violence and injustice, and hanging us where everybody could see it, to say, let me tell you something, little black woman, little black man, do something, and this is what's going to happen to you. And so it psychologically, at an unconscious level, begins to reinforce the fear. It psychologically, at a gut level, a deep level, a cellular level, activates that DNA with the trauma trapped in it. It, at a level, neutralizes us so that we won't ever revolt. We won't ever ask God for revenge. We won't ever pray for justice. And we think it's just we praising God because he did it for us. What? The psychological effects of that are long standing, and we think it's spiritual, but it is trauma. Lord Jesus, have mercy. It's trauma, Dr. Brown. It took that thing bothered me all day. I mean, I was almost like this. My mama was like, I know what he's saying, but, and people were just, some were asleep, and I'm saying this dude is preaching his open. What the world? But it released something in the atmosphere that while we thought it was praiseworthy, it was trauma revisited. It was state dependent memory, where when you have, like, you have an accident and you have a flashback, the same state that you were in psychologically, when you have a state dependent memory, you go back to that same state. And the only thing we know to do is say, thank you, Jesus, on top of it, because he did that for me. What I'm not even gonna go there. I'm not even gonna go there. But there's a thing that's not in the DSM, Diagnostic Statistical Manual, which is our manual for diagnosis in mental health. But there is called, it's not in the manual. It may get there, or we need our own manual, because we
There
cannot
you go.
diagnose the oppressed with the same diagnostic tools that the oppressor developed for themselves.
There you go. That's correct. Now you hit the nail on the head. We are following the analysis or the diagnostics in regard to those outlines that they have. That's the oppressors. Now
Mm-hmm.
the oppress has to have its methods. I'll just use the word methods. It's
Mm-hmm.
systems, which means when you adopt that, guess what the oppressor does? The oppressor gets real nervous, and either one or the other happens. That oppressor will join the oppressed because the oppressor has become oppressor because of his fear of the oppressed. Now that's a whole nother discussion.
No, that's good. That's good. Because you only oppress people for two reasons.
Go ahead.
You either envy them or you fear them,
Thank you.
or both.
Thank you.
Or both. You envy
And
because
I'll
they have what you seem to be missing, or you fear because they have what you seem to be missing. So, so, um, there's this thing. We need our own diagnostic system. I'm talking to all of you who are in mental health. We need our own diagnostic
That's
system
true.
that is considerate of years of oppression and its effect, years of indoctrination and its effect. Because if you indoctrinate in, you got to push something else out. Okay, and we talked about this last week. I talked about this. I'm teaching a course, Dr. Brown, at the Samuel DeWitt Proctor School of
Oh,
Theology at
Sam
Virginia Union.
Proctor. You don't, hey, that he was my professor. Proctor
Who?
was Dr. Sam
Oh,
Proctor
Sam
at,
Proctor. Okay,
at
uh-huh.
Crozer Theological Seminary for 2 years. After class, he would come to my apartment and we would talk because he had to catch the train or whatever it is to go back up to Rutgers. But he always said, Tommy, say I was Tommy, he said, Tommy, I want you to do one thing. Don't do one thing. I said, sure. He said, don't do that. And this is in 1967, 68, 60. Sam, and see, he had been a college president and the Peace Corps.
Sure, yeah.
And Sam had hooked me up. And Sam Proctor, he was, and then they had Gardner Taylor. But all of these,
Okay, let me get back. We got a question. Go ahead.
no, Sam, go ahead with the question.
Thanks. I think you're talking about Dr. Joy DeGruy. Joy DeGruy, Degruy, post-traumatic slave disorder.
Woo!
I think that's what you're talking about. I think that's the question that you have, Deacon Bolton. All right. Okay. But anyway, I was teaching a course. I'm trying to get back on track. Uh, I was teaching a course at Virginia Union, at the seminary at Virginia Union, Samuel with Proctor School of Theology. And I said something in my class. I'm teaching a course called Black Fire, which is a book that was put together primarily by Dr. Estrelda Alexander, looking at a history of the Black Pentecostal movement. And one of the things that I said to them um, in that classroom, because I dismantle a few things, so they can think. It's not Bible school where we indoctrinate you, trying to teach you to think. One of the things that I said to them, if you look at everything that we have, since they dragging us for being D9 and all of that, dragging us and sending us to hell all of a sudden. We've been doing this since 1906 and 1913. Now you're going to have to get somewhere and sit down. uh, but everything that we have, every black major denomination, every HBCU, every black civic organization, every black bank, every black university is a result of us thinking because we are Christians with our oppressor that we have become one with our oppressor. It is a pathology that is long standing in my people. We tend to think that because we both believe in Jesus Christ, hallelujah, that now the playing field is equal. We think that because we adopted their religion and their God, they were going to adopt us. And so we made every attempt to be one with them in every institution that I named. But what happened, and it's going to happen, it's happening to some of us. What happened is that when it came to truly integrating, when it came to the leveling of the playing field, when it came to being able to make decisions, when it came to having something to say about the money, when it came to being in leadership, we found out in every institution that we were not equal.
Equal.
We found out with their Christian selves. We think because we became as they are, that we became as they are. And what we have picked up in these last 20, 30, 30 or 40 years, we have picked up as they are their pathology. And so now we have a dual pathology collectively of the oppressed, because that is who trains us, who culturizes us, who indoctrinates us. That is who we envy, but they really envy us. That is who we pattern ourselves after, pattern our churches after, pattern our marriage after, pattern our parenting after, pattern our education after, pattern our materialism. Everything we patterning. So we have that pathology plus the pathology of the oppressed. It is a unique pathology. It is a unique kind of amalgamation of two things in the psyche that are actually diametrically opposed. You wonder why we so stressed and got so much high blood pressure. It's two things living inside of us. And Christianity has not bridged it. Christianity has birthed it. It
Thank
did not bridge it.
it
It birthed
built it.
it. Go ahead, Dr. Brown.
No, you hit the nail again on the head. See, you use the word Christianity. That ain't divine God. That's not what we would say Yeshua, Christ consciousness. Christianity is an enterprise to do that because it benefits economics. It benefits, it masters power.
It
And
absolutely does.
it masters power. And see, people don't understand that love is the power, but people want to love the power.
Right. And they don't have the power to love. All right. So you're looking for Reginald Bolton. Okay. You're looking for Dr. Francis Cress,
Oh,
Wilson
Francis Crick.
Cress.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. With the Crest theory. Okay. I thought you were talking about Joy DeGruy. Because
yeah,
she's also a
Francis.
black psychiatrist. Francis Wilson Crest, her stuff is trending now. They try Howard drug her when she started talking about maleness and male superiority and where we got it from, and even the symbol of the cross being a phallic symbol and all of that. Howard nicely got rid of her. Okay, she's gone on. She's an ancestor now. She look a whole lot like Florence Farley. And she did. She look a whole lot like my. I was like, dang, y'all got whoa, y'all got the same nose and everything. Ooh, um, but she is yet speaking. So her stuff is trending all over YouTube. Feel free to look or to find any of her works. Is it Cress Wilson or Wilson Cress?
It's great. You hell, you done said it so much. I done got them well as I know her.
Yeah.
Francis Cresswellsing.
Okay. All right. So you want to look up the Cress theory. You will. That's the crux of it is the Cress theory. She's got a few pieces out. The ISIS papers.
ISIS
Um,
papers.
Mm-hmm. And so that, and also Joy DeGruy, and I'm getting ready to give you another one. Here, the religious trauma syndrome is called the RTS. All right. This psychologist's name is Marlene Winnell. Marlene Winnell. She coined the term in 2011, and just look at her stuff, okay? And just look at her stuff. She dealt with this clinical construct, describing a condition that is experienced by people struggling with leaving an authoritarian, dogmatic, highly indoctrinated religion and coping with the damages, the psychological damages, and there are also economical damages if you were a leader and you defect from that. Marlene Winnell coined this, I think, around 2011. Okay, and so in Christian context, specifically in the doctrine of original sin, the doctrine of eternal damnation, one tells you you're doomed from jump. One tells you you're damned if you don't get the believe in the doctrine. The clinical presentation includes what she describes as a double bind. There is that duality again. You are guilty and responsible while facing eternal punishment, yet you have no ability to do anything about it because you're doomed from the beginning. This creates an unending cycle, she says, of guilt and shame, and sometimes we actually see some of the symptoms, as Joy DeGruy talks about, of PTSD. Okay, another one of them is the purity culture. That represents another well documented harm vector. This research was published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine. They found that exposure to purity culture beliefs was significantly associated with increased sexual shame, predicting 11% of sexual shame variance. Strikingly, this effect held even for women who experienced penetrative childhood sexual abuse. So the same guilt and shame that people felt sexually with all this purity stuff is the same kind of psychological profile that women who experience penetrative childhood sexual abuse had the same thing. I mean, this is something else. This is something else. And so this whole guilt and shame versus grow and evolve, all right, where God is only interested, that is crest with a C, not a K. That's a C, not a K. Um, all right. Even with all of the guilt and shame that's there, we don't teach you. We teach you to be a religious product, and this is what I said to our students. We teach you to be a product, not to go through the process of evolving, becoming, maturing, and ascending. Just be church, be saved, be spiritual, be deep, be a bishop, be a pastor, be a politician, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be an Indian chief, not become. We don't teach evolution. We do not. We teach being a product. And then we shame the bejesus out of you for flawed processes when we haven't taught you how to go through processes so that you can become. You are already what God intended you to be. You hear his idea, his concept. He sent you here to solve a problem. You are already 100%, but it is the concept of already, but not yet. And we can't handle already and not yet as one single thing. We have to make it a duality. And so we're going to kill you because you're not yet. We're going to drag you because you're not yet. And so we see this. It's a whole lot of stuff. It is a whole lot of stuff there. All right. I'm telling you. Uh, now these are white folks did this stuff. The Williams Institute found out, for instance, that 81% of people who had conversion therapy received it from religious leader. Why are you having therapy from a religious leader with no psychological credentials? And so then we step into lanes that we are not trained to step into, that we are not healed enough to step into, that we are not credentialed to step into, and we further add insult to injury. It's like you have a heart aortic problem and you gonna let the CNA operate on your heart. Who does that? But it is something that we do in churches. Racial dynamics are very stark here. Eric McDaniel's research shows among white people, as their wealth increases, Adherence to prosperity gospel increases. Ain't that something? They support the belief as justification for their wealth that we helped build, and that they a lot of them got off of us, because that's what we sow seed. Okay. All right. Thank you, baby, for doing what you did. You know who I'm talking to. You got it. The black people, however, the relationship is reversed. The less wealthy they are, the more likely they are to adhere to indoctrination. Did you hear what I said? The broker you are, the more you have struggled. The more you have to believe God to pay your bills. It's almost an insult to a God who holds up the whole universe by the word of his power or her power. It's almost an insult of an abundant God whose abundance is shown throughout the universe for you to have to beg God for your bills for next month. But you believe in God, and the broker we are, the more likely we are to adhere to doctrine and to all of this crazy stuff. And so they knew this in the 80s when them televangelists came out with this doctrine. They knew they were going to challenge people to make donations as a gesture of faith. They're going to promise them something. They're going to manipulate the scriptures just like the slave masters did with making the slave Bible and leaving certain things out and convincing you that this is who God is. They knew when they did it that people were going to start giving like crazy, because we think it's a slot machine, that if we put the money in and we hit the right button, we gonna have a plane like them, we gonna have a big church like them, we gonna be millionaires like them. We everything, it is pathological. It's delusional, Dr. Brown, and it took root like crazy. Not just with us. It worked with them. It worked, and the only way it worked with us is that we had to use the same tactics on our own people. I ain't got no help here at all. I ain't got no help here at all. I ain't got no help here at all. We had to use the same tactics on our own people. So then again, to your point, our elder, we now have become an oppressor, trying to bleed our people for their money, because we saw the Christians who we model our life after giving seed. He gives seed to the sower. Baby, they were talking about something went in the ground. Okay? Okay? Seed time and harvest. Okay. Put that in the right context of an agricultural people, and their money came out of what they put in the ground. You put your money in the ground, I'm going to prove it to you by the scripture in 30 seconds. You got 30 seconds? Okay, so the parable of the talents, the 10 talents, the 5 talents, and the 1 talent. That is not abilities. That's money. Are you understanding? It is money. And the one person that put their money in the ground was called a bad, unprofitable steward. It's the same. Y'all know that's some Greek stuff. You make me some money, produce for me. And because you didn't, what you had, you're going to lose. And what you had will be taken away from you and given to those who put my money in a financial institution and grew it. Lord have mercy. I ain't got time to. We don't know the difference between the law of reciprocity and seed time and harvest, because we let them with doctor in front of their names with their paid for bought doctorates, most of them with no real seminary degrees from accredited universities, and we going to school 10 and 12 years, and y'all listening to that, and all of us got doctor in front of our name, as half of us ain't went either. Come on now. We know it. We know y'all want to be them so bad. That's why they're making so much money off of D-men's. They're making so much money. It's a money maker. I ain't telling you not to get it. I may get myself another one. I ain't telling you not to get it, but it's a money maker. This is about money. It is about finance. It is about economics, and it is about retaining positions of privilege, supremacy, and power. You cannot extract Christianity from that. Talk to us, Dr. Brown.
Well, you done said it all. You just telling us we're so busy trying to have the love of power, and we use various symbols, money, and we are very violent, because if I can violate you and you allow me to violate you, that verifies power.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I saw one statement. Yeah, my girl Frances was a seer. I,
Abs-
I, I like.
Absolutely.
I know. I see. I knew her personally. Oh, she was. She
Okay,
was.
Dr. Brown.
She was something. Tommy. You know, they all call me Tommy. They go off and talk the way they want to. Oh, she was beautiful. People like her, like Nikki Giovanni, a gifted person.
Excuse me. See, to your point, many times, and I said this, and I'm just having my class all over again. Many times, we look at people like Maya Angelou,
Maya, yeah.
who called God the All. That is as African continentally as it gets. That is ancient African spirituality. And it's
Yeah.
also your Bible that says God is all, in all, and through all.
To all.
That is African. She called God the All. She called God Mother, Father, God. We don't even understand people like Nikki Giovanni. Rest her soul. Rest Maya's soul. Rest Francis Cress Welsing's soul. Rest Florence Farley's soul. We don't even understand that these women were seers and prophets. And we think they couldn't be prophets because they didn't believe the doctrine. When you must understand, God has had prophets ever since he had people.
Mhm.
They're not Christian prophets.
Oh no,
There were
no.
prophets in Israel. There were prophets in Canaan. There were prophets in Judea. Are you understanding? Won't no Christians. Them prophets you quoting were not Christians. And so we believe only that only Christians can have prophets. So if that's the case, then we need to nullify and make void every prophet that was prior to 2,000 years ago. Get out of here. Those women were prophets, and many of the prophets in this stuff that you read in the Psalms is poetry, because the prophecy and the resistance is in the poetry. And so they absolutely were seers. They absolutely came against the empire. All right. Strangely now, rest her soul, we see how quiet Nikki got when she went to uh, the Ivy League white school as a distinguished professor.
Hmm.
She got very quiet,
Hmm.
very quiet. That is, Lord, this is my class all over again. That is the price of your admission ticket to privilege. That's the price of your admission ticket to assimilation and being adopted and adapted. Lord have mercy. Lord Jesus have mercy. Dr. Brown, I'm telling you, this is some stuff. The most paradoxical part. Let me get off that because I see people looking at me funny. Uh they looking funny. They looking funny. All right.
No, I'm thinking about what you just said. I was thinking about James Cone when they went to those universities. There was that, hey, okay, there was that, and of course
That
when
is
you,
the admission ticket. I'm
yeah,
telling you.
and that's unique, and you, as my dad would say, you ain't lying. Uh,
Yeah, that's the price of your ticket for assimilation. That's the price of your ticket for white endorsement. That's the price of your ticket to be it. Lord Jesus, I gotta find something before we get off here tonight. I gotta find something. I gotta find something. I'm gonna see if I can find them when Dr. Brown is talking. But the spiritual detriment. Let's talk about the spiritual detriment.
spiritual, oh, that now that's another whole dominion.
Because now we have looked at the economics. Because at the end of the day, the more Christian we become, the more we stay at the bottom of the hierarchy. You do the math. You do the
Go down.
research on the wealth gap.
Oh, that's it.
The wealth gap, where the median wealth of an average white family, maybe this was 23, was about 171 to $180,000, and the median wealth for black families was like 20 some thousand.
It keeps
Look
going
at the
down.
housing gap.
It
Look at
keeps
the
going
wage
down.
gap. Absolutely. Look at the housing gap, the ownership gap. We pay more money and we pay higher interest.
Right.
Okay? And look
Insurance.
at the ownership gap. The gaps are, we look like we're coming up, but the gaps are the same. We're coming up because the whole culture is coming up, but the gaps are the same. It is delusional. So, if what we believe is all of that, why are we still not equal? Why? Okay, ain't nobody talking back to me now. The spiritual domain is the most paradoxical. How does Christianity produce specifically spiritual harm? Scholars identify a mechanism whereby the religious teachings themselves, especially when communicated in chronically shaming environments, are traumatizing. They are humiliating and they are traumatizing. This constitutes what one scholar calls Christian religious trauma. Okay? Christian religious trauma. The source of the trauma is formative experience of participating in Christianity itself. All right. Now, I ain't going into the whole LGQRSTBU. That is an agenda of white folks that to put that on black people and make up. I'm telling you, it's an agenda that they put with our civil rights. Okay? They're not the same thing. It is an agenda, and we spiritualize it, and then we drink the Kool-Aid, as Dr. Brown said. Okay? So I'm telling you, there's documentation to religious trauma and moral injury from conversion practices. That's called getting people saved or getting people delivered or getting people delivered on the altar and all of that stuff. Um, that frames everything from a heterosexual point of view. Okay? I ain't getting into that. I ain't getting into that because all of this stuff, it's a curable sexual brokenness. All right. Now all this white folk stuff here. All right. But the way we do people, not to bring them to their highest self and let them figure it out. We gonna cast it out. How you gonna call somebody with a disease a demon and expect that they are supposed to get better around you? I don't have no help here tonight. The betrayal dimensions emerges powerfully in qualitative research as well. Okay? One person said, I gave you everything. I gave you everything. And I trusted you completely, and the outcome that I was nothing but trash to you. People actually feel this way about leaders. They feel this way about God. God, I gave you everything and I'm still broke. God, I did everything they told me and he still left me. God, see, because I'm telling you, y'all, I'm telling you, we haven't even looked at the social detriments in Christian nationalism. It has, let me read this. Okay. Christian nationalism emerges as the most documented social harm. PRI/bookings research identifies that the rising influence of Christian nationalism in some segments of American politics poses a major threat to the health of democracy. Democracy, people, came from Greece. It ain't even our stuff, all right? The research is clear. Americans who strongly embrace Christian nationalism are more likely to believe racial diversity to be a hindrance to national unity. Being Christian is essential to being truly American, and everybody else should be denied equal rights. It's been that way from the
Oh,
beginning. Christian nationalism is American culture from the day that they came here with their broke tails and stole this nation from people and Christianized them. From the days of the doctrine of discovery that says if you find any land, any nation, any territory or people that are not Christian, it is okay for you to take that territory and then Christianize it. So if any place you go to, if it ain't Christian, this land is your land, this land is my land. All right, from California. Y'all got that right there? All right, Dr. Brown, tell us one more thing. He said, and it's spreading in the military. He should know. He should know. Spreading in the military. Listen. Dr. Brown, do something here. I got one more thing I got to read, y'all, and then we got to get out of here.
I know
Dr.
we
Brown
have.
said, Dr. Brown said, we're gonna do what the devil don't do. We're gonna leave you in just a
Leave me
minute.
alone.
We're gonna leave you in just a minute. Uh-huh. All right, I want to find something. Um, um, Dr. Brown, what are you going to tell us?
What I'm going to say is something that when you can, and to all our listeners, when you can go beyond the consciousness of this world, knowing that you are not the body or the mind, and you are aware as never before that you exist, that divine consciousness is what you are. You are that in which is rooted everything in the universe. Shatter the frames of limitations which separate your soul from the spirit.
Mm, mm. Do that part one more time. That was good right there.
When you go beyond the consciousness of this world, as my sister, she describes it in all aspects. When you go beyond the consciousness of this world, knowing that you are not the body or the mind, and yet you are aware as never before that you exist, that divine consciousness is what you are. You are that in which is rooted everything in the universe. Shatter the frames of limitations which separate your soul
My God.
from spirit.
Mm, mm. That right there is heavy. That is what we must do. I'll give it to you like this. Seek ye first the kingdom of God
And everything.
and all of its rightness. If it don't do people right, it's religion, not the kingdom. If it doesn't Make it right for people that the empire has made it wrong for. It's not the kingdom. It didn't say seek first your Christianity or your Islam or your Yehudaism or Judaism. Jesus didn't say that. He didn't even say seek the Torah. Seek ye first the law of first things again. The kingdom, the rule, the protocols of heaven, the reign, the realm of the divine, and its justice and righteousness. When you do justly and rightly by everyone, then everything that you need will be attracted to you. The law of attraction is not just what you think. The law of attraction is in seeking first the kingdom of God. What is right? What is just? What is kind? What is forgiving? What is responsible? What is discipline? What is loving? What is doing people right? Saying right, giving right, living right, advocating right, speaking right, and everything else that we need will be added unto us. Next week is going to get deeper than this because I got to tell y'all about this dialogue that I found in this movie. And it looks just like the Wilderness Syndrome. They tell you how to bring in from out of the ghetto the most intelligent and the leader because they want to be us so bad. And if we can bring them into the white community, we can neutralize them. But if we leave the leaders in the ghetto, whether it's we pay you to come to Ivy League schools, we just talked about it, whether we pay you to play ball or we pay you to be an entertainer, if we can take the leaders out of the ghetto, we will neutralize them and the people they left will hate them. If we leave them, they may revolt. I gotta give that to you next week. We're gonna go a little bit deeper into this next week. We hope we'll be the doctors 3, but if not, I think me and the elder have done all right tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. Seek the kingdom, y'all. And the kingdom is where, Dr. Brown?
In you.
We'll see y'all next time.